All right, back in the studio. I got Josh and Nick. What's up, brothers?
What's up, man? How you been?
It's been forever. How you haven't been here in a long ass time.
Oh, hell no. It's been about a year.
Get closer. Get closer.
It's been about a year since I've been here.
Yeah. Like you haven't seen the studio yet or anything like that.
No, and I like it. I like it.
Well, yeah. Luckily, we're recording early in the morning, so it's not like hot as balls here in parts unknown.
Yeah, because it's gonna be has been, will be again.
Oh yeah. 100, 110, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a dry heat, so it's fine.
It's
Oh,
dry
bullshit. A fire's a dry heat.
I was actually talking about that at work the other day. Like, I can't handle humidity. There's no way in the world I could live in like Florida or Louisiana or anything like that. You know, like,
Yeah, see, I'm
because I'm a sweaty bitch.
Yeah, I was born and raised here, but I've gone back and forth between like Oklahoma a lot. And a lot of people say that humidity is really bad, but oh, dude, when you get a nice breeze, it feels like an AC.
Yeah, it's my buddy Chad that lives with me. He says sweating is Mexican AC.
Pretty much, that's what it is. It's a fucking swamp cooler.
yeah, but you know, that's the big thing is like if you didn't sweat, you'd die, and there's people born without like sweat glands and shit like that.
Yeah, I don't get how they like. It's really sad to say, but I don't get how they're alive.
Yeah,
It's called modern technology.
yeah,
I guess
that's
so.
right.
There's a bunch of things that would kill you like 10 years ago that just don't anymore.
Though that's actually an interesting point. Like, there's so many things in this world that used to control human population that's just not a factor anymore.
Yeah, like you get the flu, you're okay.
Yeah, well, back in the day, that shit would kill you.
50 years ago, you got the flu, they were already digging your grave.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just think about this, something like losing your leg or an arm or something, you know,
Yeah.
like
That's because it's not just some random dude sawing off your leg anymore.
Well, like in Civil War, they'd like cut your leg off and then use that same blade and the same bloody rags to cut the next leg off.
Yep.
well, I'm not even talking about cutting off limbs, just like you know, like
Well, it's kind of funny how quickly we go to that.
yeah. I was talking about.
I cut my finger off. We got to cut that leg off, Steve.
Let me show you a trick takes mine off that finger.
But like, you know, just like 10 years ago, if you think about like how inaccessible the world was to somebody without a leg, you know, now these days everything's got to be wheelchair compliant,
Right.
And, you know, like
And if you don't, you get sued.
Speaking of which, I'm not going to say the name of the business, but I was at work a couple months ago, and we have a drive-through at that zone, and
I know what you're talking about.
some dude comes through the drive-through in like this gigantic motorized wheelchair, and he goes, "I can't get in your store," and I just opened it up, and I'm like, "Can I help you? Like, I can help you here. You're technically driving, so what do you need?"
I mean, sure.
He's like, how dare.
Well, it's because there's this bump that's like 2 inches high.
Oh, so his chair
and
can
his
get over
chair
it.
just like couldn't pop up over it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's everybody's so like sensitive these days. You know what I mean? Like earlier today, this is really neither here nor there, but it's I went to Burger King for breakfast. Yeah, shout out Burger King, and there was this weird ass guy. Like he came over to me and like started mumbling. He's like, you know, I work for Junk for Jesus, and he'd be like put his backpack down on the ground. He's like, I got something for you, and I stood there for a second, and I was like, and he's just like mumbling to himself. I was like, I gotta go, dude. He was this weird ass guy. You know, he was harmless, but he was just like he was obviously not in a good place.
Yeah.
But
About a month ago, I was at work, and they're like, "Hey, go out to the van and get this thing out of the van and bring it into the store." I'm like, "Cool, whatever." And go out front and come in, and there's a guy standing there, and he's like, "Hey, man, you wanna look at this ring?" And I'm like, "No, man, I don't want to look at this ring."
you see what God just did to us, man?
And he's like, "This is the ring that
The one to rule them all.
no," he was like something like Anakin wore when he met with the Chewbacca or something. I'm like, "Dude,
It's
what?"
like, dude, you got your story wrong.
Yeah, and I was just like,
He must have been on some really.
"Oh."
good
Then
stuff.
He was either on or off something really
well,
good.
I think he was just trying to sell me a ring. And
I get that a lot over there because I've
Like,
had,
look at my beard. Do I look like I wear rings?
yeah.
Like I had this dude come in, and he was wearing like really old military fatigue, so it was probably a vet. And he sees my 45.
Already getting sweaty, huh?
Well, no, because he kept going, like he
you
kept,
guys
like,
couldn't see that he was gesturing.
Yeah, he's like grabbing at like where boob height on his shirt, and he was like pulling it off, and he starts taking his clothes
pulls
off.
a Madonna.
Yeah, he starts taking his clothes off, and I'm like, okay, if this dude actually starts getting naked, I'm gonna have to kick him out, which I felt bad about because there's
It's
like
the quickest way to win a fight. Just get naked.
I pretty much, and
I've done
he's
it.
wearing like an undershirt and everything underneath, but underneath his clothes, he has like one of these mics just strung all around him, and like,
Really?
hanging out his belt loop, like where like it should be, you know, it's dangle.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck is this dude doing? And so I let him continue because I want to see where the fruition of this. I want to see where it's going.
Gotta see where this goes. This has got to be a good story.
And he just takes the mic off, like unravels it. He's in the store for an hour doing this. I'm just sitting there going, what is going on. And he ends up taking it off, putting it in his backpack.
As long as they
rolling it
didn't
up.
plug it in his butthole
Yeah.
or anything.
And then he does the same thing that happened to Nick. He goes, "Do you want to buy this ring?
Oh my god!
$2. It's a $2,000 ring,
But I'll give it to you for $2.
and for $2." And I'm like, if that was a $2,000 ring,
You wouldn't have taken a mic off for 2 hours.
yeah, it'd already be in the pawn shop, bro. So just stop.
What is some of your like craziest like experiences with just like homeless people? I hate to ask this question, but I get it all the time.
I mean, you get weird people regardless.
I call it Tucson wildlife.
Well, the best one so far is one that if you're a Tucson native, you know this man. His name is Chicago.
Oh, God.
And it is the man that rides the buses, and you see him walking around all the time, with now I think a full upper torso of chainmail made out of fucking soda tabs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That takes some ingenuity.
Yeah,
though.
like when I was first riding the bus at the age of like 13, he only had the headpiece, and now it's like a full upper torso thing of chainmail.
Oh my god, that takes some creativity.
Yeah.
You know, like my big thing is like because I live behind a liquor store, so I see all the crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like, not even like a week ago, I was sitting in my house, so I had my door open. You guys probably just heard some husky shenanigans, but like I was sitting with my door open, and there was this guy. There's a telephone pole across the street. He's like fucking standing behind it, taking a piss. And I'm like I walk out there, and I'm like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "Just taking a piss." So, like, well, he was being honest.
Pretty much. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
This is got a decade ago, 2 decades ago almost. Jeez, I'm old. I was working at Walmart. and this guy-
Dude, I turned 37 this year, dude.
I was 31 last Thursday. But no, this guy comes in the Walmart and he's like wearing like a jacket. He's got this helmet on and like it's got reflectors on it and it's just super shiny.
Some Mysterio shit.
Yeah, and I'm like that. Guy's and I was pushing carts as my job. I'm going through the parking lot. I see this car and I hear it first because it's playing classical music. And like I go up to
Classy.
and I go up to the car and the car's off. And the guy, I don't even know where to begin. So the inside the car was a like gramophone playing the classical music.
Saxophone.
But the outside of it, his windows were covered with like screen doors.
Wow.
The top of it had like all kinds of lights on it. The whole thing's covered in Christmas
I've
lights.
seen this car.
Yeah.
I've seen this car. Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously some kind of local, but he was just like, I was like, man, is this how you just keep the aliens away? It's like fucking Christmas lights and classical music. But man,
That's how you keep the aliens away. Christmas lights and classical music because they hate both.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much.
This is common knowledge.
I mean, you got a 50-50. They do or they don't. Like,
The only bad thing is it keeps the aliens away, but attracts the demons.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
well, depends
don't-
on what kind of classical music.
And then how do you attract the Bigfoot? I don't know.
I don't know.
You got to make those twig balls and hang them from the trees.
Twig
Yeah.
balls? I've never heard that phrase before.
I forgot what they're called, but like a lot of people, because my dad's really obsessed with Bigfoot, and when we lived out,
Dude,
in
I'm a
the-
big Bigfoot guy. Anybody that listens to this show knows I'm a
Yeah.
Bigfoot. I bring it up on every single episode somehow.
Yeah, like when we lived out in Arkansas, he went to a couple of the Bigfoot conventions they had.
Oh, really?
out there,
Really?
And people would like, I guess, had these like really intricate looking
So they're saying
twig
that.
balls.
So they're saying that these were like structures created by
Yes,
Sasquatch,
because they said that they found them hanging from trees, and
kind of Blair Witch style.
Yeah, exactly. And like one dude said, yeah, this was thrown at me in the middle of the night when I was out there investigating, and like
When I was out there investigating.
I believe in a lot of the unknown. Like even if someone disproves it and it's honest, I still want to believe because
Yeah.
it's what I want to believe. I don't give a damn what you believe.
Yeah, who cares?
But those twig balls kind of make me mad because they sell those things for like $50 to $60 plus.
Like some little woman could have made them for all you know.
Exactly. And it's like this one was actually
Alright.
thrown to me. Look, it's got hair on there, and it's like
Hot take.
go like this. And you're like,
Hot
that hair
take.
looks the same as my beard hair, bro.
Hot take of the night.
All right.
Morning. Whatever it is. Bigfoot is just the Blair Witch. Same person.
Whoa,
my God.
whoa, mind
my
blown, mind blown. Like, Nick and I are cousins, and Uncle Kevin has a Bigfoot story. Did I ever already
Yeah,
tell
no,
you that?
yeah.
Yeah, up on Mount Lemon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like the listeners, I've already heard this, so I'm not gonna like repeat it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
well, what do you feel about like other cryptids, like like Chupacabra, fucking Mothman, Loch Ness monster?
Like the only one that I believe in almost all of them.
Jersey Devil's the one that I just can't get behind.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. The only one I can't get behind is Jersey Devil because that's more of a biblical thing.
It is absolutely
Then
the 13th child or the 13th son, I think is what it was.
I just found out about a new cryptid because we're gonna be playing D&D, and we're gonna use this cryptid as a monster.
You already
in
used
D&D.
one. You used Chupacabra because
I
it
did.
almost wiped the party with it.
It was a flying chupacabra, which is really cool.
It was a what?
It was a flying chupacabra. Was the monster used in
Had the
D&D.
bat wings. Nice.
But we're gonna be using one in a week or two. It's called the Hodag.
I know exactly what you're
Oh.
talking about. Yeah.
Apparently, it's something from Michigan. I didn't know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Ogopogo?
That one I
yeah.
have not.
There was even a song in the 30s. Beware the Ogopogo. Yeah, like it's this thing. It's like I want to say it's in Milwaukee, but like the indigenous people of that area before we colonized it believed in this thing they called the Ogopogo, which is basically like half frog, half snake, or whatever. But they would literally take small animals, like when they would cross this body of water to which they believed it lived in. They would take small animals and toss it into the water. Be like, here, have this as we get across.
So they're pretty much feeding the crocodiles.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, think of it. Something that's half snake, half frog.
That's
and
pretty
see-
scary if
and
you think about
and
it,
You see a
dude.
crocodile swimming up towards
There
you.
you go.
That's
There you go. Well, then, like the most recent discoveries of like I want to say it was in 2000. I was just listening to a show about it. I want to say it was in 2012. They actually finally confirmed the giant squid.
Yeah.
Which would be the kraken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like 22 or 32 feet long.
I think.
Well, there was that one that washed up on shore. Was that
Yeah.
in 2012?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no,
And
they,
that was
they-
like
I
38
think it was 2012.
That was like 38 feet.
They just found one like maybe 2 or 3 months ago, like alive off the coast.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
we've seen like I watched a bunch of those nature shows back when I had nothing else better to do, and they actually have them on.
Oh my God, Josh!
I
Time to wake
forgot to
up.
turn that off.
Bad podcast etiquette.
Exactly.
Ah.
Shut up. Shut up.
Answer it.
No, I think that's his alarm. Everybody, you were just dreaming up to this point. It's now time to wake up.
Time to wake up. You're late for work.
Yeah. Well, no, what was that like?
I was gonna say take a podcast call.
Somebody was that's like the prank to like be like, yeah, man, just wake up, like just pretending like somebody's in their coma or something.
Right.
That's a little horrible, man.
It was like when I had my thumb surgery last year.
Turn these off.
Like I was like, they put the mask over my face and they're like, count down from 10, and I was like 10, yeah, and I was
Yeah.
and I was gone, and I can tell that these nurses have done this more than once, but like there was no dreaming, no nothing. It felt like a snap.
Exactly.
And I woke up and there were 4 nurses were standing around me as I came back to consciousness, and they're all welcome back. Like don't do that.
Yeah, I had that happen to me because I guess I had a kidney stone that was too big to move, so I
rough,
had to
man.
go under. And that's what happened. They're like count backwards from 100, and they had already like
I was like,
because like the anesthesiologist, he was this Asian dude. He's like, here's something for pain, and I'm like, okay.
they're the best doctors, dude.
And as soon as he freaking
I'm
injected
sorry,
that into
they
my
are.
IV, I was like, okay, I need to get this
Yeah.
regularly. So I was already halfway loopy, and they're like, count backwards from 99, and I was like, no.
Eh.
And then I woke up, and there's a lady right here in my face. Welcome back.
Yeah.
If you need to pee, let me know. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to pee real bad.
I just gotta go real hard. Like I remember, like, because my thumb didn't even look like it was part of my hand because I wrecked on my bike. I dislocated my thumb and had a lateral fracture. And like I was in the hospital bed and I was like doing okay. Like my hand like would be fine for a second, and I remember like holding it close to my chest. You guys can't see, like holding my hand close to my chest. And then a wave of pain would hit, and I'd be like, yeah! And then it would like go away, and I'm like, okay. And then like 10 seconds later, it would do it again. And they're like, do you need something for the pain? I'm like, fuck yeah, I need something for the pain. And they put this, I don't know what it was, but they hooked it into my IV. My whole body just went rubber, and I was like, hey, this is nice. And like, I remember looking up at the square ceiling tiles, and they started like kind of like waving. I was like, oh my god, couldn't imagine, dude. $700 in anesthesia alone.
That's not bad.
Anesthesia alone, and I Ubered myself to the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, because I wrecked on my bike, and it was like 10 o'clock at
Oh,
night.
you just straight went. Okay.
Yeah, like I wrecked on my bike. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, what do I do? My fucking thumb isn't even part of my hand anymore. Like, what do I do? So I went and bought a pack of cigarettes, literally with my hand all fucked up. Went and bought a pack of cigarettes, and then, okay, better go to the hospital. Called an Uber. And then, like, the day, they made me stay overnight because they didn't have a hand surgeon on
hand?
Yeah, on. Oh, boom. Fuck you, Nikki. but like they did the surgery and everything, and it was like 10 o'clock the next morning, and I was all like good to go, and was like, okay, I'm gonna Uber home. They're like, no, you can't leave by yourself. You're on a lot of drugs. I was like, no, I'm not.
No, no.
And like I stood up and was like, okay.
It's like, watch me walk out the door.
Yeah.
Am I going? You're on the floor, sir.
Well, like apparently, like after surgery, you're not actually allowed to leave by yourself.
No, like my mom was there to pick me up.
Yeah. Well, they actually had to cut my thumb open and put a pen in, and I was in a cast for like 4 months. I don't. Do you,
Something like
do
that,
you remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah. And my hand was fucked. Actually learned how to ball dough at work with one hand.
That's a skill. That's a skill.
Yeah, dude. I'm a fucking dough ninja.
Dough ninja.
But what's
Dough
going on?
ninja.
What's going on with work with you guys?
God, we've been so busy at Amazing Discoveries. We just had another Magic set release. They're doing them like so quick now. I don't know why.
The new mechanics are because I've been playing Magic Online.
Sure.
The new mechanics are like I have a hard like I just recently was able to master planeswalkers.
Oh yeah, and
That-
they're so big now.
Yeah, well, like what I'm running right now is a red-white deck with 2 planeswalkers.
Sure.
I'm drawing a blank at which ones that I'm using.
Chandra and Ajani probably.
Yeah.
Chandra is the best red one.
Well, the new set's all about her.
Is it?
Yeah, they made 3 variants of her. So there's like
God.
there's a uncommon, a rare, and a mythic version of her. And then there's a few cards that target her like specifically.
Well, basically what I've been running is lifelink and DD direct damage.
Sure.
You know that the other night online I fucking won in like 6 hands and it was up to like almost 40 life.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but that was without my planeswalker.
Yeah, well, the new Chandra, her ability when she comes in, she can uptick to give you an emblem that just makes your opponent take 1 damage every turn, and you can stack them.
Okay.
And there's no way to interact with emblems currently in the game, so you
It's a
Don't
broken.
you
It's a
just
it's a
stack
broken.
'em?
It's a broken mechanic.
It's not so much broken; it's just it puts you on a clock. Like as soon as she hits the field, you have 20 turns to do something,
and that's it.
or less probably because you've taken damage at this point. But we'll see. They ended up just doing a series of bans, so.
Bands.
They had to ban some cards. So there's a card in Modern Horizons, Hogarth? But he.
Okay.
So if you don't know Magic, it's really hard to explain because he's like a bunch of mana, but you can't pay mana to play him.
Give this might be a kind of a stretch, but
Sure.
give the listeners a quick rundown of what Magic is.
Oh, sure.
And I can help if you.
I mean, I think we've talked about it before.
yeah, but maybe this is the first time somebody's listened to the show. So
Everybody has a 60 card deck generally. Players have 20 lives, and you're playing cards that either generate mana or use mana to play creatures or spells
to do damage,
or to
defend.
or in some way advance the game state.
The way I've always looked at it is like you're 2 wizards on opposite sides of the field that are trying to play spells to damage each
Wizard
other.
poker.
Wizard poker, dude.
Pretty much.
You just coined a new phrase.
No, not at all.
No, you've got that before. You've heard that.
Yeah, no, we get that one all the
A lot of
time.
people call it.
Oh, okay. I got excited. I was like, damn.
It's like there's a lot of games out there that are like it, but none quite as good as Magic the Gathering.
Yu-Gi-Oh tried.
I mean,
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh is
they're still real big.
is
Yu-Gi-Oh is
still
faster
big.
though.
Yeah. Hearthstone is another real big one out there right now.
Well, I mean, Hearthstone's
like
the digital
Yeah.
king.
Except Magic is kind of catching up now. That they got their
Magic's
online
trying hard.
Coliseum.
What are you guys playing right now?
I've just been doing mostly Warhammer.
Warhammer. Did you know how much I love Warhammer?
Warhammer. I've been video game wise, like I've been playing. I play Warhammer with Nikki all the time whenever we get a chance because last time we played, it was like 5:00, and we were just done with D&D. It was an early day, and he's like, "You want to play Warhammer since we're done early?" I'm like, "Sure." I got to be home by like 10:00 though. When we were done, because we looked at the clock, and I'm like, "It's already 10." We started playing at 5.
Yeah, that's what happens, dude. We haven't had a good D&D game in a long time.
Yeah, we've been playing semi-regularly on Sundays.
You just said semi.
Yeah,
like
and regular.
I miss D&D, man. Like I really enjoy like what's your favorite D&D core set?
Well, Pathfinder is what we play.
Pathfinder? I think 40K was probably my favorite.
I haven't got to play any of those yet.
Oh yeah, the 40K like Pathfinder is a lot, or 40K role playing supplement is really.
What is Pathfinder?
It's so when D&D was kind of back in its heyday, it was 3.5.
Okay.
Then they decided to go make 4th edition, and a bunch of people got pissed off by that. So they made Pathfinder, which was basically 3rd edition D&D 0.2.
0.2.
So like, it's the same general rules as is like 3rd edition of D&D, because a lot of people didn't want to leave it behind because it's what they grew up on. And, like it was what was in it's what they were doing when I was in high school.
Right.
And so a lot of people are like, we want to keep doing this. They just kept doing it. Now D&D's in its 5th edition.
Yeah,
you
5th
know.
edition.
Dude, when did D&D come out?
Fucking back in the
60s, right?
No, it was
70s?
70s. Don't like.
Don't quote me on
Don't
this.
quote me on this, but I want to say 72.
72.
72?
Hold on, you take your guess. I'll go fucking look it up. I got a phone.
He's
Hey,
got.
I was going off of knowledge, not off of internet.
Oh, we're gonna knowledge it, or we're gonna internet it.
We're gonna internet it.
Because Gygax invented the damn game, pretty much. I want to say 72.
You remember that episode of The Simpsons where they're like they're like in the void or whatever,
Yep.
and he's like roll.
Yeah, because it was Oh no, it was Futurama, wasn't it?
Was it
Yeah, because it
Futurama?
was Gygax.
That was it was the end of a Futurama
'cause
episode.
it
It
was
was one of their what if
Gygax.
episodes if Fry didn't go to the future, like
Yeah.
it destroys reality.
Yeah.
1974. So
Damn it, I was 2
Well,
years
you were
off.
only two years off.
you owe me $2.
You didn't even guess.
You owe me a Coke.
No, one per year. You're wrong. If you would have said like 1874, you would have owed me $100. That's how this works.
That would have been some witch burning if they caught people playing fucking D&D back then.
Oh, dude. Yeah, hell yeah.
They'd hear someone out of the house. I cast magic missile, and they'd
They'd
just
be
set
like-
the house on fire.
Yeah, it's
Witch.
just the more extreme version.
I'm not a witch. I'm a wizard. Oh my god.
I'm a dwarf. You make a great point. Like in like the Dark Ages, if like D&D was a thing, oh my god.
Well, I think then it was just called live theater.
Yeah, I know. Right? It was. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to it like on kind of the same kind of note. I was listening to a show about I forget what they call it. It's spiritualism.
Hmm?
You know, to where like you can connect with like ghosts and stuff. Whatever.
Oh yeah.
You know, like and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Harry Houdini went on this big thing of like debunking that stuff. But there's a particular story that I listened to. This lady had a twin sister, and her whole thing is like, okay, we're gonna have a séance, and I'm gonna call up a ghost or whatever, or I'm gonna enter the ghostly realm. And she was like, okay, so when this starts, you have to close your eyes. You can't look. You can't do. You know, you have to. The lights are off. You can't. You can't do anything. And she would be in another room. You know, like, and they would tie her down and like whatever. But then her like twin sister, painted in white, would walk in and be like, "Oh, I'm in the ghostly realm."
Oh my god. Really?
Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah, and people bought it for a long time.
Yeah.
But eventually, this one guy was like, "Okay, I'm gonna," because she's making all kinds of money, and like this one guy's like, "You know what? This is a hoax. You know, whatever." And so like they were doing it at one point, and this guy jumps out of his seat and rushes her and grabs her. She's like, "Look, she's not a ghost." You know, you know, like, that's kind of crazy, like ancient beliefs and stuff like that. You know, like we get into like pagan religions
Yeah.
and like Egyptians and like one of the things I read is the pyramids were actually probably built by people that were paid real well.
Most likely.
Yeah, like
I mean, engineering is not cheap.
yeah.
Nope.
And like it's the common belief that it was it was built by slaves and shit, but nah.
The slaves were probably used as machinery.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is like, because a lot of people think that they was built by aliens just because of how long it would have taken.
Oh, we're gonna get
slaves.
into aliens now. Thank
Well,
you.
no. That's what they're saying is it would have taken 100 slaves 5 hours
To move one
from
block.
those blocks, like from it was supposedly like a mile away.
Right. Yeah, well,
And-
the thing is the stones themselves were actually they're able to be dated and like tracked from specific quarries. Like you said, they were miles away, just like Easter Island.
Yeah, and the whole thing is like, why would they use slaves to move those when they had elephants and all that stuff available in pretty much Africa, where
Yeah.
the
Well, it
freaking-
is Africa.
where
Yeah.
freaking Egypt is. It's like they had animals that were big enough to move those far enough and all that. But
Yeah.
no, for some reason, people think they don't think that way. They think that no, the slaves built these. It's like yeah, they probably did, but
Well, it's
all
just
the
like-
stones were brought there from somewhere else on animals. So
Well, and like you look at like the Sphinx. I try to say that properly. Sphinx.
Sphinx.
You know, like the face on the Sphinx was actually reformed into something because it was originally a lion. If you buy into the theory, it was originally a lion, and then somebody came in, took over, and then had the Sphinx recarved to match that emperor's face,
Yeah.
because the face is really small compared to the rest of the body.
And if people bitch about that, it's like because Mount Rushmore was hand carved.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
didn't have machines.
Oh,
So
yeah.
people could easily carve a face on a lion. If you
Yeah.
can carve a 5 faces in the side of a damn mountain.
With dudes with ropes.
Yeah, ropes and
with-
chisels and hammers.
yeah.
So my favorite kind of like defacing history story.
Oh god.
I don't know all the specifics. This is something I've heard. They had all these, all the statues of like dudes and stuff.
Statues of dudes.
Of dudes, like with like,
This is a statue of a dude.
oh well, not an anatomically correct dude. And there's a pope that was all like really hubbub about it. So they went on around and chiseled all the wieners off.
Oh my god.
And
No phallic.
yeah, they chiseled all of them off and put them in a box somewhere.
Public service message: don't chisel your wiener off.
Yeah.
Don't.
But then they have a box of these things sitting in the back somewhere. And they've started a restoration project, and there's some
To glue
dudes
them
that,
back on?
Yeah, there's some dude that has to go around and like
Are you kidding me?
take wiener A and like go put it on every like statue and try to figure out.
Does this fit?
Yeah, and so that's like someone's job currently because
Yeah,
there's,
well,
there's
there's worse ways to get paid.
there's 30, 40 statues
See,
that
that's the only bad thing is he's going to be dreaming about D's all.
Dreaming about D's.
He's dreaming.
maybe it's his life calling.
Maybe.
Maybe he volunteered. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm holding a plastic
the
katana
life
in my
of
hand.
phallic.
Yeah,
That's all that is.
The life phallic.
Okay, so I got this 21-year-old dude that I work with. He is my manager, and
That's the worst.
he was holding up his vape, and he has this weird setup. I'm like, dude, why you? That is very phallic. And he is 20 years old,
Robot dick.
going to college, and he's like, what does that mean?
Oh, that's
I'm like,
fucking
what?
rough.
He goes, phallic. What does that mean? I'm like, you don't need to know if you don't know.
So we
If you don't know already,
we get we work with Goodwill here in Tucson, and they send us kids to get like job experience, and we teach them how to run the registers and do inventory and all that
that's
kind of stuff.
actually really cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. And we ended up hiring one of them because he was like actually competent. Because sometimes we get these kids and they just don't know how to run a register. They don't know how to talk to people. Like
Count money and stuff like that.
and that's why they're in this program is to get these experiences. But this one kid was actually good, so we hired him. And we're talking to him. We're like, "Hey man, you got to do your resume and stuff." And one of our managers comes up and he's like, "Hey man, are you proficient in Excel?" And the kid
I would be no.
yeah, but the kid looks at him and says, "What does proficient mean?"
Oh well, Excel. I don't know proficient, but Excel would be like, huh?
Did you guys hire him or did you? Tear
Oh, I mean, he worked for us.
Oh,
He's
okay,
just-
I thought you would have torn up the.
no, he's not
application right
bright.
there.
He's not bright.
He's a great kid. Don't get me wrong.
He's like a gray crayon.
yeah.
There's some use for it.
Well, he's definitely a quick learner, but like you're just like, dude, you just hold on, let's back up a step. Because he was definitely just like the other day. He was like, "Yeah, man, we called him a mouth breather,"
Oh my god.
and he's
That
like,
dude that stands behind you just.
"Yeah," and he's like, and then his
we
response
just did
is,
that.
his response is, "I'm a mouth breather, so I get more oxygen to my brain."
Oh my god.
That's fucking a good response.
It's like,
That's a good response.
like I don't. That's
How do you argue with that
I
though?
don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
because that's not how that works.
oh man, that took me off guard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, he's a good kid, but yeah, he just turned 18. He doesn't have a lot of like world experience, and like
I'm a mouth breather because it gets more oxygen to my brain.
well, it's kind of funny because like we're in a service industry, and he knows probably the least amount of like the Magic and the Yu-Gi-Oh. He doesn't know any of this stuff. Like he hasn't played all these games,
Right.
But he gets away with it because everybody just knows that he's young and like kind of dumb and kind of like
He's the naive one that everybody wants to like teach.
Yeah,
maybe.
so everybody's like, I can't be mad at you. You're just too,
You're too you.
You're too, yeah.
You're too you.
He definitely came into work the other day with Crocs and sandals. And
Oh my god. I
Did you tell him go home and change?
Oh, then his Crocs were on the wrong feet one day. I was like, dude, how'd you even do that?
It's like I put my underwear on backwards, but I'm good.
Have you seen a pair of Crocs? They're just like ovals. Mm-hmm. How the hell do you know which one's left and right? Is there an L and
they
R? on
curve
the
a
bottom?
little bit.
Well, there's probably an L and an R on the bottom of them. There probably is.
Look,
Yeah,
I put my headphones on backwards a couple times.
I mean, that makes it
Are
sound.
you wearing your
coming
headphones
up-
right now?
Is the
Probably
sound
not.
coming in?
Looking at you, no.
Is the sound coming in upside down?
He checks his headphones.
Yeah, I got it on right. I got them on right. I got them on right.
So well, that's how you hear the demonic messages and like the Pink Floyd. You have to play.
Yeah.
Put your headphones around
Get some,
backwards.
get some EVP.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to just share this story too because you reminded me of the kid with the underwear on backwards or whatever.
Oh god.
This kid,
It's like sagging.
this kid like runs into my store, and this kid's got to be like 5
With
or 6.
underwear on backwards?
No, no.
Okay.
And he's like, I need this card. I need this card. I'm like, yeah, let me find it. I'm like, it's like 20 cents. And he's like, here. And he slams quarters down on the desk. And I'm like, cool. Here's your card. And he's like, I'm going to rate you guys 1,000,000 stars out of 1,000,000 stars. I'm like, cool, man.
He
Whatever.
apparently really wanted that card.
And then like he takes off, and then I realized that he's wearing like a tie-dye shirt, so I didn't realize it at first. But his shirt is backwards and inside out.
With tie-dye, does that matter?
I don't think it matters.
That's the fourth day of him wearing it.
Yeah, because you wear it normal, then backwards, then inside out, then you turn it around again.
There's 4 days of interchanging the way it's on your body.
Well, then it was a tie-dye shirt, so like I couldn't tell, but like the tag was sticking out, looking at me when I was handing him his card, and I was like,
Well, he wanted that card though, man.
dude, yeah, he was super excited.
He's like, hell yeah. I think the most expensive card I ever bought was when I was playing Modular.
Okay.
I forget what it was, but it was like Modular Giant or something like that.
Okay.
To where like every time that it got, how does it work? It's like when you
a counter.
like when you attach something to it, it gets a counter.
Oh, when you attach to equipment, yeah.
Yeah. But I would have never run in with inside out tie dye. I can't say. I've never been so excited that I ran into something with inside out tie dye.
Yeah.
Neither have I.
So like I'm gonna keep this conversation going. Threw something into my brain earlier. Let's talk about aliens.
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's talk about aliens. What have you guys ever seen anything?
I've seen some questionable stuff, but like I said, it's just along one of those things I really want to believe in because.
Well, it would be pardon the pun. We've done this before. Pardon the pun. It would be an astronomical waste of space.
To me, it's the fear, the size of the universe itself, and where the only
It's unfathomable how big it is.
But if it is true and we're only alive in the universe, and how
it's
horrifying that is.
Well, it's mathematically impossible. It's mathematically impossible.
I'm talking about because there could be bacteria and all that other kind of stuff, which is alive. But I'm talking about life like us.
Well, I recently, like the audience knows, I recently broke up with a girl that was an astrophysicist, and it's mathematically impossible. It's mathematically fucking possible.
The big theory that you see is
getting closer, brother.
Oh, sorry, I was leaning back there. The big theory is the mass cleansing. That there's something that happens to every form of life that eventually kills it.
Right.
That's even more fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Well, you think about have you ever heard of the Younger Dryas?
No.
It piggybacking on what he said. Think of Gobekli Tepe, stuff like that. There's evidence on this planet that we had advanced technology and advanced civilization, and then it got wiped out, and then we restarted. There's evidence that happened.
I don't like that kind of evidence though, because then you got to think about it. What the fuck wiped this out? I'm hoping it was like a natural thing, but if it wasn't, is it gonna happen again?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some theories that stars explode sooner than we think they do. That there's just going to be some mass extinction event that we just haven't experienced yet.
Yeah. Well, think about global warming.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But.
And then overuse of resources. Overpopulation. But I personally believe that I believe we've been visited. I believe a lot of abduction stories like Travis White, or what I'm talking about.
Fire in the Sky.
Yes, right.
Yeah, last time I was on here, we were talking about that. My family's actually friends with him because
that's crazy. I remember that
up
now.
in Snowflake. He was back when I was living up in Snowflake. He was at every family gathering we had. Because
that's crazy, dude.
He never wanted to talk about it though.
Oh yeah, would you?
And I did. I guess I was 5, and I had watched Fire in the Sky, and I just went off on him and all these questions, and I guess he just had a breakdown and left.
Well, that would be PTSD, man.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I met the guy. I've known him. I met him a couple times, and he was, what was it? He was he worked. He was either managed or worked at the paper mill,
right
up there.
Right.
So yeah.
So what do you think about alien life, though? We never really covered that question. Do you?
I believe in it. Like I said, I want to believe in it. My dad is.
What are you, Fox Mulder?
I know, I've had conversations with Nick. My dad. Oh my God! My dad, his religion is aliens, but it's not Scientology. I call him a Scientologist all the time just to piss him off, because what my father believes
he doesn't
is
think
that
they're in the volcano.
No, he doesn't believe in that volcano stuff.
Venu or
yeah. He believes that all life on Earth was brought here from different planets.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
He
a
thinks
little
there's
bit.
a whole planet of white people, a planet of black people,
Oh,
a
that's
planet
a
of
little
Asians.
crazy.
I know, let me finish. He thinks there's a planet of like dogs, a planet of birds.
That's a little
And
crazy.
like we were collected back when we were in our infancy and brought to this planet to see how we would commingle.
Well, it makes sense that we were seeded. That kind of makes sense
Yeah.
because of the
Like not so much engineers from like Prometheus,
right.
but pretty much that like we were brought here, like the cavemen were brought here as like Neanderthal.
Well, it makes sense that we were seeded because of the conditions of Earth.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's so, our distance from the sun is so perfect.
Yeah.
Our chemical atmosphere is so perfect. Kind of makes sense.
Well, that's what I throw at people like the really religious Bible thumpers.
Yeah.
That believe like these are what I throw at people that believe not all religious people, but the New Earth
New Earthers?
Earth religion.
Yeah.
They think the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
And dinosaurs didn't exist.
Yeah, and I just tell them, you know, you can believe in God and evolution at the same time. Like,
You
'cause
can,
God
yeah.
spawned the universe. Like, God, because they're all like, I had people that were arguing Big Bang over creationism.
Who's to say, like, if you believe in Christianity or whatever, who's to say that God wasn't the one that snapped his
Exactly,
fingers?
and I walked up because it was when I worked at CTI, and they were having this huge argument, and I'm like, you guys can't see, you're both arguing the same story.
Yeah, you're making the same
and they're
point.
like, what do you mean? I'm like, how do you know God didn't create the Big Bang? And
Yeah,
they just looked
snapped his
They looked
fingers
at me
and-
like,
Snapped his or her
yeah,
fingers.
its fingers. And it's like,
Its
like
fingers,
They
yeah.
have never even contemplated that before, and that just stopped the argument.
Well, yeah. It's some people are so short-sighted. It's pretty amazing.
It's like when I was in high school up in Snowflake, they were all pissed off because I believed in the Big Bang and evolution, and finally had to tell them the same thing. It's like, how do you know God didn't create
All of it.
all of it? Like he snapped his fingers and just created the universe, and just sat back and go, let's see what happens.
Well, and like
And
here,
like, I'm not a religious person at all. Like,
me neither.
My religion is the Nordic religion. Like I believe in Thor and all that.
Right.
It's not because I hard believe that way. That's the religion I want to believe.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
You
I
know,
think
like,
it's awesome if I go down a warrior, I get to fight forever and dine in Valhalla. So it's like, let's do
well,
this.
like with me, everybody that knows me is I identify as Buddhist,
yeah.
and you know, like it's the big thing with Buddhism is like everybody's right.
Mhm.
You know, like if it makes you happy, you're right.
That's the one thing
You
I
know.
really loved about Buddhism is there's actually no God in Buddhism.
Nope, it has nothing to do. It has
technically a saint.
well, it has nothing to do with creation.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with creation. Like Buddhism has nothing to do with creation. It's just celebrates the fact that we're here.
Yep.
Like who cares? It's like the big thing. Like because I live literally a 3-minute walk from a temple. You know, and it's yeah. You know, and it's I go there all the time. You know, it's who cares how we got here? Let's just fucking be happy that we are
Yep.
here. Let's just fuck it. You know what I mean? Like who cares? Like, you're not wrong. I'm not wrong. Let's just be happy.
Yeah, like there's no offense out there to any of the Christian
No,
listeners.
no,
None at
no.
all.
Well, I was raised Baptist, so
I was raised hardcore Bible thumper Christian. I think that's
Yeah.
why I can't do it.
yeah.
But like I completely lost my train of thought. It's gone. It's done.
So like we were talking about aliens. How about here's a fun note. Let's talk ghosts. Have you guys ever felt like you've seen something like that?
No.
I've never.
I am the worst for this. So this is
Nick says nah.
this is this weird dichotomy of me. I love these fantasy things. I love these crazy religions. I love the D&D world. I love my sci-fi stuff. I don't believe in Jack. I don't believe in the aliens. I don't believe in the ghosts.
You don't believe in aliens?
I don't.
That's all right.
You know. So like the distances between planets is so far.
Well, who's to say that species haven't been around for billions of years?
So you'd have to be a species that lived a billion years to get from planet to planet.
Who's to say that's not
I
possible?
mean, that's definitely possible. But like, why would you spend your time going from one rock to another if you?
What if your population got so big you had to go somewhere else, or
Like I think it was like even with FTL to get to like the nearest habitable planet would still take what, like 20 years.
Yeah, it's
And that's faster than like
if
travel.
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
But
yeah.
anyway, continue your train
Anyway.
of thought. I'm sorry.
But yeah, no, I just like, especially like getting to where we are at in technology, like the stuff on Earth is becoming less exotic. You know, like when
Yeah.
people talk about Bigfoot. You know, it's like, you know, they're like, oh, Bigfoot. And I'm like, cool, believe in Bigfoot, but like, I can go down to Walmart and buy a 1080p camera for $20.
And still get blurry pictures.
Yeah.
It's like Mitch Hedberg.
Well, that's
it's
all
like,
I think you were talking about.
It's
that.
like Mitch Hedberg says, like, I believe that Bigfoot is out of focus.
Yeah,
Which makes it more scary. Somewhere out there's a large out of focus monster.
Yeah, like I think we were talking to Nick, and we were saying something, and he's like, yeah, and we found out that Bigfoot is just a creature that is permanently out of focus. That's why you can never get a good picture of him.
Yeah. The real trick is he is just made out of wieners.
What did you just say?
that one.
Oh, well, he's just censored.
Yeah, he's censored.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It was actually,
Bigfoot is made out of wieners.
yeah, and he's just
You
censored.
heard it first.
There was a show I was trying to watch, and I was really excited about the first half of the show, and then
Oh my
the
God.
second half of the show just disappointed me. But it was like paranormal. I don't remember the name of it now. It was paranormal something, and the first half, like the first 10 minutes, is they go to this person and they're like, "Hey, what's wrong with your house?" And the person is like, "This is what's wrong with my house." And then there's a 10-minute block where they just send in a licensed contractor to explain what's wrong with their house.
What you didn't explain is that they
Like
say their
EVP
house.
and
No,
stuff
they
like
say
that.
their house is haunted.
Yeah, so they're saying the house is haunted, and the guy's like, "Well, your bedroom's cold because you blocked the air vent with your bed, and your door opens because your lock's fucking 50 years old, and you hear this weird sound because your drains are garbage." And like he goes around the house and he's like, "This is what's causing all this paranormal stuff." And I was like, "This is great." And then the last 10 minutes is like they send a psychic in. She's like, "Yes, your house is haunted." And like,
But here's the thing. Here's my big question,
Sure.
Nick. Would you go into like a 100-year-old abandoned insane asylum and spend the night? Have no problem.
yeah, absolutely, why not?
I would because no, see,
I love you, man.
see, I would do this because an insane asylum is not necessarily somewhere that's going to just be haunted.
Well, you don't think that psychic distress can leave a
Like an imprint?
yeah.
Well, no,
No.
because most of the time, like we're the ones that put the insane asylum as a horror place.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, it is just a hospital that people went to get better. Yeah, bullshit happened there.
But in the
to some of
30s,
them.
it was rough.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah.
fucking rough.
Shit happened
It was a
there,
torture.
but-
It was a place of torture.
I-
So here's my big question. Here's my big question. I'm just going to throw this out there. Do you think that human experience, like you said, could leave an imprint?
That see,
Like
same
that's-
around the ghosts. Like my outlook on this is that, to me, if ghosts are real, that means magic is real, and that's just in my head.
Why would
Like,
you say? Why would you say it's magic? Though?
Because
What's the difference between supernatural and magic?
so
there isn't. Magic is a supernatural force.
Okay.
That's why I like.
Okay.
And if ghosts and magic are real, that means vampires and werewolves and all the other scary shit's real. So, like I said, I want to believe it, but I don't think I
Yeah.
can. Like,
Well,
'cause-
like in my studies, like I showed you that book. The big thing that I've actually, just piggybacking on what you said, the big thing that I've been studying lately is like, have you ever heard of like the Vampire of Dusseldorf and Peter? I forget the guy's name.
oh
but
yeah,
it-
because the Vampire Dusseldorf was like the first. That was the first experience of anything that ever led to vampirism.
Right, and so early humans were afraid of these things, like so they would prescribe them as like, oh, this was a werewolf. That's the only thing that, like, you could be were anything.
Yeah.
But like, I forget the guy's name, but it was in Germany in the 1500s, and he actually physically ate people with his hands and mouth, and he proclaimed that he would become a wolf and do these things. So like the whole concept of like the werewolf, the vampire.
Yeah, because I think that's where they got the story of Vlad Dracul from.
Vlad Dracul actually didn't. He was a real person, but he didn't do half of what people say.
Because a lot of people think because his I think there were two translations of his name, and that's where people got a bunch of stuff.
Son
from.
of the
It's either Son of
Dragon.
the Dragon or Son of the Devil.
Yeah. Well, Dracul means dragon in Romanian, but like there's so many things in human history that kind of get muddied up and just try to explain something. Where like the whole stake through the heart to kill a vampire came from.
Because they nailed him to the coffin. So they
Exactly, so they couldn't get up.
And like the whole thing that revolved around vampirism was that I guess people would get murdered or something, and then they would dig up bodies, and there would be blood in the mouth. And
It's
that's
because of decomposure.
And that was because they didn't embalm people back then.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, blood gathered in the
Well, I
mouth.
mean,
and
it's-
then they'd shove bricks in the mouth of people that had died, so they couldn't come back and bite people.
Exactly.
And nail them to the coffin, so they couldn't come out.
Yeah, garlic and all that
like,
shit.
we had a misunderstanding for a long time about human physiology
and decomposition.
Yeah,
well,
because
physiology,
hair,
psychology,
because
all
hair
that
and,
stuff.
fingernails still grow,
But they don't. But it's just the recession
Yeah.
of skin.
But I mean, like, you talk about people who are like vampires and stuff, and it's like possible for people to have vitamin deficiencies that get cured by drinking blood
Yeah,
because they have the right
exactly.
vitamins.
Yeah.
And there are people
You know.
that are literally allergic to the sun. I think it is. They walk outside and they'll
I
be
forget what it's
burned
called, but
extremely bad.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have albino syndrome for people, and then like you have things like schizophrenia that can cause somebody to seem like they're possessed.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's ancient man would describe these creatures because of people acting crazy.
And like werewolves, like I think there's a couple families in Mexico.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Where
about.
they have, like,
It's
completely covered in hair.
It's called hypo something.
Yeah.
But it's on tip. But they're covered in hair.
And like early man sees that and they're like, oh my god,
That's a
half
fucking
man, half
wolf-man.
wolf.
That's
oh my
a
god,
wolf-man.
run away.
I mean-
like look at original Wolfman. Looks like those. Like I'm not bashing these people, but the
I mean,
Well,
you
by
see-
no
original
means. By
Wolfman,
no means.
you see
looks
them in
like
like the
that.
old like circus like photos and stuff
yeah,
too.
circus photos. And
Yeah.
a couple of years, like 10, 20 years ago, there was a documentary on them.
I remember hearing, I don't know how much rumor hearsay to say, that there's like a family in Alabama who's basically like all green skinned because
Really?
they're so like inbred in this like mountain.
Oh my
community
goodness.
That like
Hills have eyes, motherfucker.
yeah that they've got like some kind of like genetic like drift that gave them like chlorophyll or something in there. Like
Wow.
yeah, I mean, that might just be a rumor. Who
I
knows?
still want to see if it's
Yeah,
true.
Google it. People with green skin.
Well, like what I
No,
want to.
I don't give a shit about that chick selling her bathwater.
Yes, you do.
No,
But
that's
what I want to touch on right now is through my studies. So of course I bring this up every fucking single time. Serial killers have been a thing since humans have been humans, and the thing is that's like werewolves, vampires, zombies, banshees, familiars, ghosts. Like that's how humans used to be able to explain something because they didn't understand it. There was no understanding of like psychosis and like different types of like psychology. So that's just what they described it as. You know what I mean?
I mean, think 100 years ago.
They're blue.
They're blue. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I got their color wrong. That actually kind of feels bad.
hey, they're blue.
Blue
They're
people of Kentucky.
Oh man, I got the
even got
color
the state
and the
wrong.
state wrong. Oh, wow, I'm sorry. But no, like 100 years ago, some guy ate a peanut and dropped dead because we don't know what peanut
Yeah.
allergies were.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, oh, this place
It's
is
magic.
haunted.
It's magic.
It's-
It's
yeah.
the Fugits of Troublesome Creek.
Oh man,
Have you guys ever heard of the
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire Shash? It's my favorite shash.
They've got in Troublesome Creek.
I was going to talk about the Winchester Mansion.
There's
Oh,
no,
yeah.
There's no pictures of them.
Oh, well, I think they're that like isolated. though.
This was like. I don't think this was recent. This
Oh,
was like-
it's really, really ago. The Winchester Mansion, the lady who was,
That is psychosis.
Yeah.
That is psychosis. Like she believed.
she believed all the people that her husband's guns killed were going to come
Yeah,
after
yeah.
her.
But you look at that house; it's pretty amazing. Like you and I kind of differ. I do believe in spectral.
Anomalies.
Yeah, I do. But like I believe my place is haunted. I've told you about
Sure,
that before.
sure.
Like whenever my house is dirty, fucking my cabinets bang.
Sure.
With my windows closed, the wind's not blowing in there. But there's so many different interpretations of, like let's say I'm going to go back to it, like Bigfoot. Maybe this person saw a bear and was like super excited, and was like, oh, it was on 2 feet, and it was fucking 13 feet tall. You know what I mean? There's so many ways that humans get excited, and like what's the phrase is like it's like human testimony, like memory is not actually like memory is actually not admissible in court.
Yeah. I mean, it's super subjective. Like,
Yeah, because you can get excited and feel like you saw something. Like have you guys ever experienced anything like that? Something that you weren't sure that what you saw is what you saw.
I mean, the other day at work, the lights turned off in the back room, and nobody was back there. And I was like, "What's going on?" And it's probably just a bad circuit breaker. But everybody's like, "No, there's a devil in your back room." I'm like, no, the hallway light just turned off.
Some fucking dead Magic
Like-
players pissed off.
I've had shit like that out in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma, like camping and stuff like that. But then in the morning, because it freaks me out so much. Because like the worst one I ever had was after I watched The Fourth Kind,
Oh,
and we this was in a house. This wasn't camping, and like after I was done watching, I started thinking it's like That's actually pretty cool. It's a pretty weird story.
Mhm.
And I heard an owl screaming.
And then you're like, "Oh,
outside,
fuck."
and I'm like, well, I'm getting my shotgun.
That's a funny thing that you like, because you brought something in my mind. Like anytime that like I've ever like from being a little kid, like I'll watch a movie or something and then I get wigged out.
Yeah.
I like, and what pops into my mind is like, just because I watched a movie about this subject doesn't mean it's gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I used to be one of those little kids that would like, I would go running at my bed and jump and land on my
So you
bed.
didn't get it by the monster underneath.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was one of the kids that would turn the light off and book.
You told me that before,
Yeah.
actually.
I was back when I was like I just really sad to say, but up until I was like 12, I was extremely afraid of the dark.
Yeah. Oh, well,
that's
it's built into
Yeah.
humans. It's built into
And
humans.
also another main reason is because when I was a little kid, I always watched horror movies.
Well, you
So,
and me both. Man.
When I was a small child,
Because shit used to kill us in the dark.
That and snakes.
when I was a small child, the one that was really weird for me was I watched. God, I don't remember what the movie was. Something about being in a submarine, and whatever the bad thing was.
Hunt for Red October.
No, it was a horror movie.
The
Leviathan.
Abyss.
Maybe it was The Abyss. Whatever it was.
No, if it was a horror movie and
Yeah.
shit, it was eating people, right?
I don't remember.
It's probably Leviathan.
The only thing that my small child brain could remember was that the creature of note or whatever came
Of note.
came through the shower head.
Oh, that's Leviathan.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
And I that was the only scene that my small brain like retained.
You told me this story
Yeah.
like 20 years ago. You
Yeah.
told me this story.
And so like up until I was like, God, 14, 15, I'd only take baths. I wouldn't take showers.
yeah, I
Well,
know this story.
Leviathan made it so that when I took a poop as a little kid, I would not sit on the toilet. I would hover and stop and look every once in a while.
One of the ones for me was Ghostbusters 2. Like when the goo like came out of that
Came out
girl's
of the tub, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like I literally would like take a shower and be like,
Well, the kind of one of the weirdest things that's happened recently.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Put
Just
your foot
'cause
over it.
we're talking about showers and stuff. Is, at my apartment, we have like
Psycho.
we have one of those glass showers, and all the AC units for like my apartment, the apartment below me, the ones next to me, they're all like basically above my bathroom. So when they all four kick on, it shakes the bathroom.
Oh,
And when you shut the door to the,
it vibrates.
and it doesn't have anywhere to go. So you're sitting in the shower and the water's on you. You just hear whoa, whoa, whoa. And like the first time that happened, I'm like, what is going on? Like,
there's a devil here.
well, because like I would hear the noise and I'd open the shower door, and so that would change the way the vibrations were hitting. So I'd stop hearing it, and so I'd like open the door and it would stop, and I'd close the door and I'd go wah wah, and I'd close you know. Yeah, and I was like, what is going? Like, my bathroom taking off? I'm about to fly into space, like, you know, like.
Aliens are gonna catch me with my pants down. Literally.
I mean, that's when they get you. You know?
That's what they get.
You never hear of anybody being abducted when they're ready.
Right. So to bring the show to a close, what are your guys' biggest fears? Biggest phobia? Biggest phobia.
Biggest phobia.
Mine is sharks. Everybody knows that. We
yeah.
could cement over the entire ocean for all I fucking care.
I have a real bad problem with heights.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I can't even do like ladders.
Oh, I feel that.
I
Like,
need to
feel
come
that.
over and put my VR headset on because there's one we got to where there's an alien crawling, giant.
Did you see?
robot
You were there the
crawling
last time I did the
skyscraper.
VR thing, right? I almost fell.
You told me that too.
I'll do the story real quick. So we're playing one of the VR games, and it's like it was one of the first ones they came out with, like on a bundle pack, and it's like you're doing different jobs in VR. And so
Oh,
I,
yeah,
I did the one that was like you're doing a Circle K like fast food job, or no,
yeah.
like gas station thing.
Were we building burgers or whatever?
Yeah, well, it was gas stations. So you're like giving people sodas and stuff, and I was dicking around and throwing stuff
And
like
that's
from
when
the
it came
counter.
straight back towards your face. I remember.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And I threw something over the counter, and my brain was believing this virtual reality thing. And so I tried to brace myself on the counter that doesn't exist and lean forward to look over the counter.
I wish I could have seen that.
And
man.
there wasn't actually anything there to support me, so I just like fell forward because my brain was like, you can put your weight on this thing because it believed it was there. And I almost ate shit. But anyway, yeah, no VR heights for me. Anyway.
Yeah,
What about
heights-
you?
It's heights for me.
Heights?
Like I used to say it was spiders, but I can pick up a spider and it doesn't bug me as long as they don't catch me off guard.
Yeah.
Like if I were to turn right now and see a spider on my shoulder, I'd scream like a little girl and probably hit the floor. But like I can sit there and like watch a spider crawl. So it's like I don't have
Yeah.
arachnophobia.
Like I said, the only phobia I have for me is sharks. Can't see them on TV. Can't do
Oh,
anything. I'm good though.
I just want to go to this too, just because I got this cool story I got to tell everybody. The last time I was actually on a ladder, I was at my work and was in the back room. I'm on this ladder and I'm trying to get something from the top shelf, and the shelving collapsed.
Oh no!
And so all these boxes start falling, and I'm trying to hold them up.
You're like, I'm gonna die.
I'm trying to hold these boxes in the ladder.
Help!
And yeah, and like Greg was walking by. I was like, Greg, get help!
I need an adult. I need an adult.
Yeah, oh, it was terrible.
All right, boys. Thanks for being here again, man.
Yeah, not a
It
problem,
was
man.
a good show. Josh, thanks for being here.
No problem.
Nick's.
Nick's, yeah.
One Nick.
One Nick.
We'll actually technically do the show with two Nicks, but
Yeah.
but thank you guys again, and appreciate you guys for listening. And we're out.
We're out.